God. Hi. Hey, so you with the election? You're the Bureau of Elections, right?
Well, I'm just a volunteer.
We're just wondering okay, I understand you're a volunteer and you're just doing your job. What's all these? Are these mail-in ballots or what's these coming in?
What are these? These are my in tape here?
What's that?
Am I in tape as well?
Yeah, because we're wondering why are ballots being handled down here and not up there with the elections. So we're curious about that.
Okay, yeah, the gentleman who's in charge of this, I think, should be right back down.
What's his name?
Gosh, what is his name?
Antrim County, ballots were counted for Democrats that were meant for Republicans, causing a 6,000 vote swing against our candidates. The county clerk came forward and said tabulating software glitched and caused a miscalculation of the votes. Since then, we have now discovered that 47 counties use this same software in the same capacity. And these counties that use this software need to closely examine their results for similar discrepancies.
He is marking the ballots. I filmed her a half hour ago doing 6, and she's still working at it. Let's stamp it, received. And let's fill in our 6 blanks. All at the top of the tickets on each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Looking at that footage that you just watched, you don't have any suspicions anymore? For all the people who are adamant there's no fraud, our elections are solid, what rock have you been living under? Our elections are not solid. Regardless of what is ruled about this election, regardless of what a Supreme Court determines, we've already been shown election fraud. Period. I mean, we saw it before we even got to this election. We saw it in 2016 in the Democrat primaries. We saw it with the coin tosses in this primary season. And I believe there was probably more going on behind the scenes there. We're just not privy to it because they've done a better job at concealing it. But without a doubt, the deep state and the powers that be, regardless of what your opinion is of Donald Trump, they are kind of more or less getting what they want from Donald Trump, in my opinion. The only thing that they don't like about Donald Trump is his mouth. I mean, just be honest. The big thing they don't like about Trump is the fact that his rhetoric, not his actions necessarily, but his rhetoric has created this draw to an outsider, this draw to someone who's not typical Democrat and not typical Republican, and they are afraid of what it's going to fuel for the future. They don't want, on the Democrat side especially, someone like a Trump to take over that party. They don't want that Bernie, that Tulsi, that Andrew Yang. That's why they've, went to come hell or high water to prevent it. Okay, they've gone to those links. We've seen it happen. But there's more. There's more. If I'm not mistaken, I've mentioned this in a video. They're doing an investigation into Nevada, where so many thousands of people supposedly voted who didn't meet state requirements, namely because they don't live in the state of Nevada. So they're looking into that. You've got something that Franco, good friend of the channel, Bruno Franco, of Frank Analysis, has shared on our Twitter chats earlier. He showed me where it's actually been revealed that in Michigan, remember the same place where there was a 6,000 vote discrepancy that went to Democrats that were supposed to go to Republicans, right? Turns out that there's a man who lived in Michigan, a matter of fact, in Wayne County, Michigan, named William Bradley. Okay, William Bradley supposedly voted. William Bradley would have been 118 years old, and a matter of fact, William Bradley died in 1984, and this isn't the first time we've heard of things like that coming up. I know Rudy Giuliani, for example, brought up that apparently Joe Frazier still votes in Pennsylvania. Fact checkers are probably going to blow me up. I don't know whether he is or he's not, but it's certainly worth looking into at this point, for God's sakes. You've got the complaint that the Republicans are making that people weren't allowed to watch the votes count properly. And if they were allowed in the room, they were kept at such distances that they couldn't see what was being done. You've got the issue in Atlanta, and it may have been tossed out of court at this point, but the issue with Georgia, where a Republican poll watcher claims they saw ballots that were supposed to be discarded because they were mailed after November 3rd slipped into a stack of ballots that were to be counted. Again, you've got all these different things coming out, and you've got mainstream media saying there's no proof, there's no evidence, they're unsubstantiated claims. To me, look, there's arguments going to be made this could be faked, it's this, it's that. Look, I'm no expert. I don't know. All I know is I know what I can see. And I just saw 2 good clips of something that looked real suspicious. I've heard a lot of other stories that seem like they would probably be having some truth to them, so I would want them to be looked at. In all honesty, I want the courts to get involved in this. Not to give it back to Trump, necessarily. I want the courts to do what I've been saying for the last few days. I want the courts to restart the elections in those states. I want no one to do mail-in ballot unless they have to have an absentee ballot. I want you to go out and vote in person. And then let's see what the outcome is. And if there is any mail-in ballots to be counted, then it should be mandatory that they are able to watch them like hawks as they're being counted. Again, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if the outcome of the election is going to change or what have you, but my opinion, I do think the deep state had a hand in this, and I believe they favor Biden over Trump, even though, understand this, both are going to push the corporate agenda. You know, believe what you want, but they're both going to serve the donors, the wealthy donors. Okay? I'll also say this, for the people who are cheering the removal of a tyrant, you're removing one to replace one with another one, pretty much, because which soon-to-be president used to be a vice president when we tortured Chelsea Manning? Which one was a vice president when we were originally locking the kids up in cages? Which one was a vice president when we tried to go after Edward Snowden? Which one was vice president when we really tried to go after Julian Assange? Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Okay? Joe, look, you got this idea of Trump being a tyrant because of his mouth. But he's not done really that much different than the others. And for the people who think that Joe Biden is going to get into office and all of a sudden all of your freedoms are going to be gone and the stock market's going to crash and blah, 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 blah. All those arguments. Okay. First of all, stock market isn't a good representation of what everyone's going through unless you have 401ks and everything else. Okay. So that, you know, we can hash that out, but I'll leave it at that for now. Furthermore than that, as far as you're going to lose all of your freedoms, so your Bill of Rights has been intact this entire time? Really? Because last I checked, my Fourth Amendment got walked on long ago by Democrats and Republicans. The First Amendment has been trampled on under the rule of Democrats and Republicans. I mean, really, we could really get into the weeds here. Our Bill of Rights has been already torn to shreds. And if the argument is they're going to come after things on the Second Amendment, well, they can try, but you mark my words, you'll just really push the fuse for civil war then. So, I mean, we're already getting dangerously close as it is, in my opinion. You start trying to come for the guns, and the right-wingers will lose their minds. Okay? So, look, you know, believe what you want, but God almighty, would people just get rid of the Democrats and Republicans? And now that this is all done, jumping to their defense when you haven't even been defending Trump this entire time, when you've been critical of Trump, when you've in the past said that, you know, if Trump was reelected, it would have been worse for the country, and now you're very upset that he lost. Again, I think there was something going on. I'm exposing it not to defend Trump. I'm exposing it to show there's a problem in the elections. And I don't think that the court should make a decision on who won and who lost one way or the other. I think they should restart the election, set rules on how it should be handled, and then let the process play itself out, and we'll see who wins and who loses that way. That's how it should be handled. But without a doubt, understand for anyone who watches this video and then thinks Joe Biden won fair and square, this is why right-wingers, if that's how it plays out, and the court don't do anything and uphold Joe Biden's victory, this is what they're going to point to for years to come, that the election was stolen. But then again, if the courts give it to Trump, that's what left-wingers are going to point to for years to come, how the election was stolen. They'll point to 2000, they'll point to this. And they'll say that in both cases, a court that was right-wing leaning stole the election and gave it to the Republican. That's what left-wing's going to say. So the court's best move, just restart the damn election. This will be thrown out the window. You didn't give it to either side. Restart it, set rules, and say, okay, let's see what happens. And let it play itself out. But if they don't do a damn thing, rest assured, this is why Republicans and right-wingers are going to have unfinished business, and you will end up with a Trump 2.0 at some point down the line. It'll happen, and he'll come. Could even be Donald Trump Jr., literally the Donald Trump 2.0. So, just some food for thought.